All right. Well, hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of What's Going On, where we check in and find out what's going on. I am your host, Jennifer Harris, and today we welcome Martellus Bennett, a maker and master world builder who has dedicated his life to the liberation of the Black imagination. The Super Bowl champion's creativity knows no boundaries. As a writer, animator, film director, educator, political cartoonist, game designer, and architect, his dedication to his craftsmanship is a testimony to the magnificent possibilities of the Black imagination when it works outside of the constructs of societal beliefs. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful. I think I'm happy to be here.
Yes, yes. So, getting started, who would you say, how would you describe yourself? Who is Martellus?
I mean, I think that I'm an individual who's on a journey of self-discovery. I think that, and I find that I discover the most about myself through the act of making things. So I'm a maker who is making for more so for self-discovery than it is for extrinsic value. So I'm on an intrinsic journey creatively to get to know who I am and also to share these things that I discover along the way with the world through the products that I make. I think that would be a good way to sum me up.
That's good. That's good. I like that. And I like that part of the self discovery because we're always discovering who we are, what we like to do. But the dopeness is that you're sharing it with others. You're not keeping it to yourself.
Right. I think that's the thing. Like, since for me, self-discovery is creativity, it allows me to share, right? If someone else's self-discovery may be through training, maybe running, may through like people might discover the most about themselves through food. They may travel the world, taste food, share food with people, realize the conversations that happen around the food that they make, and through the act of their creativity in the kitchen, they're able to learn more about themselves, about who they feed, and the conversations they have over their dinner table, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's something similar like that. I think the human beings are creative by nature. Like every human being can draw, right? If you go to the earliest civilizations, no matter where you look across the globe, there's hand drawings and stick figures. And you think about every human being today, everyone can communicate through stick figure drawings. Like it's just
Right.
interest, right? Now, if you grow that artistry to a level, then you start the shading, and then you start the blending, and then you start doing foreground and background. Now you have but a cave wall is a picture book, right? So I think creativity is the best way for humans to discover who they are and what they're capable of.
Very nice. Now, I will still be doing the stick figures. I have not evolved greater than that. With that, I'm going to stay in my lane, right? But that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty dope. Again, you being able to give back and that creativity because everybody sees it differently, right? So what you put out might be one thing, and they'll see it in a different way, but it inspires, the mind to think, to create that imagination piece that you do.
That's right, because everything that a human being enjoys is a result of another human being's creativity. If you like clothes, like people are sewing, people are designing these clothes. If you like, like your hair, is because the beauticians can do different type of hairstyles. Like they help you communicate to the world who you are, right? That's a collaboration. Like, so I think we like music is people out there making sounds, beating on the wall and drums and singing their hearts out, writing these songs. So like everything that we enjoy is the result of another human being's creativity.
Yeah. So, bonus question. How hard or easy is it to express that, right? Because it's something different. It's not what the norm is. You're, living out your dream. And we'll get to the unicorn in a second, right? Because is it really a unicorn answer? But that imagination in that, but being able to go forth and do whatever that creativity is. How hard is it to do it when everybody's like, what?
It is really hard, but that's what the act of self-discovery is. As you speak more and more, you go, it gets easier, right? Like it's a marathon. Life is a marathon. Like you don't wake up and run 20 miles, right? You can run 1 mile or half a mile, but the more consistently you run, the further you can run, and the better your heart condition is. It's the same thing with the imagination, right? Like the more you train your imagination to actualize what you're imagining, right? The act of creativity is visualization, is imagination in the future, right? That's what visualization is. So like if for me the best way to visualize is the act of the hand taking what's in my imagination and being able to see it on paper. And that gets easier. You start to speak with more clarity because you start to develop your visual language. You start to
Yeah.
in your tone. You start to develop your color palettes. All these other
Mhm.
things along the way, and that's how it is. It's like a marathon. So it's hard at first, but everything is hard at first, right? Like
Absolutely.
no matter what you do, right?
Yeah.
You want to go. Like nothing's easy in the beginning, right? And
Yes.
it may feel easy, but then you start to discover how much depth there is into this thing
Mhm.
and this craftsmanship and the passion and love for something. That's why you should love what you do. That's the only way that you're gonna go deeper and deeper into what's possible uh,
Yes.
of that craftsmanship.
Yes, I like that. And I did the bonus question because though it is hard, we're about to share your story of how it paid off though. Like though it might have been scary and all those different things,
Oh
it
yeah,
has paid
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people stop digging right before they hit gold.
Every time.
Right? So it's like, do I keep digging? And when to stop digging is something that you learn more and more as you really start to actualize who you are as a human being. And then you
Absolutely.
realize some people dig past gold, but they don't really know what the gold in their life is.
Mm,
Be able to understand what it is that you're actually digging for. And that is the thing that's really hard to accomplish in life.
that's good. They did pass the goal because they don't know what the goal is for their life.
Hmm.
Mm, very
Yeah,
good. Very
yeah,
good.
yeah. I'm gonna write that one down after this.
But I keep my notebook every time for this very reason. um, so in this, you have dedicated your life to the liberation of Black imagination. How did that come about? And what does it mean to you that you had to like really push forth and do this?
All right, so for me, very early on, when I started making children's books and doing animation and stuff, the buzzword that everyone would use is representation,
Mm,
right? But as a Black person, I can't make representation.
mm,
All my work is just a reflection of who I am and a reflection of my community. It's only representation if someone like me tries to make something about me and I'm not in the room. That's the only time
mm,
happens is when it's Blackness going through the white imagination, right? So then it's a representation of what they think Blackness is, right?
mm,
The last say. But since I'm making things through my Black imagination, it is a reflection and a revelation of the people I encounter from my neighborhood. So for me, when I work, I think about the spectrum of Blackness, like not the
mm.
Hollywood idea of Blackness, right? That's very
Okay.
limited in spectrum, right? But I've seen Black people from all over the world and all different classisms, all different interests. Also, and to me, anything is Black and everything is Black if I decide to do it because I'm Black, right?
Mm,
So if
mm,
I do it, it's a Black thing, right? It's not this, oh, well, you doing this, whatever. The liberation of this is to get everyone else to understand that for our entire existence, we have been trying to find space and live through the white imagination. Like we have to
mm,
Harry Potter for the Black character. We got to
mm.
for the what I call background characters, right? When they just throw a couple brothers in the background to try to make it like it's diverse, right?
Yeah.
You have to find ways to reimagine yourself as a white thing.
Mm,
The liberation is having enough education, enough resources, and enough media in which you don't have to reimagine yourself as something that's white. I don't have to be the Black version of this or the Black
mm,
that, right? I don't have to be, like you'll say, oh, that's the Black Steve Jobs, right? When you have the Booker T. Washingtons who are just as innovative or more innovative in ways than Steve Jobs was, or the Granville T. Woods or the Lonnie Johnsons. Like these people are already doing things, but we don't have
mm,
them as reference points. So we pinpoint this idea of using white references. Now that's not
mm.
saying that white people aren't doing cool stuff because a lot
Right.
of a lot of white people are doing cool things and they doing things, but there also is a history of
Mm,
Black people leading the way and pioneering in innovative ways that have yet to be told, right? And if we could stand on the shoulders of those Black people who came before us, then our future looks a lot different. What is Black American futurism? And that comes
mhm,
from liberation of the Black imagination as well, right? If I have a liberated Black imagination, I could visualize the future in a lot differently than I do today, right? Like
mhm.
any sci-fi films or these things, they don't really paint pictures of Black people in the future.
Right. Right.
And there's this sense, this idea of Afrofuturism, which I'm cool with Afrofuturism, but I don't really think Afrofuturism Futurism speaks to me as a Black American because it's this idea of what Africa would look like and the future of Africa would look like if all Black people were in Africa. Black
Mm-hmm.
futurism is like, what does the future look like for us, Black Americans, which is very unique. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of us, right? What does
Mm-hmm.
that future look like for us where we are in our homeland, the Americas? This is
Mm-hmm.
our land. This is where we were crafted. This is where we're made. This is where we're from. We have ownership in this land. This idea that we have to leave to go somewhere else for a future is an old thought, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like let's take ownership of something that's always been ours as Black Americans because we helped build this place and it's built on the back of Black imaginations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's my idea of liberation for a Black imagination, but through books, through literature, through movies, through games, through plays, through card games, board games, like anything in which we can play, right? Because play is
Mm-hmm.
key to unlocking the potential of the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are the most playful people in the world, right? Have to
Right.
be the most creative people are always the ones that come from the most oppression
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be creative to make it through.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of rich people don't have taste.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just go buy stuff. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got it. You're
Yeah.
like, what is this? What's going on in here? You know what I'm saying? They don't have to be creative. They just it's
Yeah.
too much access. You know, creativity
Mm-hmm.
is really born through limitations. That's when we get most creative when we have limitations.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like the thing of you doing this as well too, the liberation, because it's showing other people, like like you said, the people we look up as role models. It's nice to see the Black and brown community doing just as dope things as others, and knowing that it is possible. Because sometimes you're in your hood and you feel like this is the end all be all. It's not to you for everybody to be like, oh wait, this is available to me, or I thought it was, but I didn't know, and now I really get to see it. But to see somebody walking in their truth, see somebody walking in their creativity, their imagination, is like, wait, maybe I could do it too.
100%, right? The biggest thing is it's like by following your dreams, right? You give others permissions to follow their dreams.
Yeah.
Right. So the more people we realize that look like us are following their dreams, the more we believe that it's possible for us to follow our dreams. And
Yeah.
this is why fiction is very important because when you visit fictitious worlds, you come back changed.
Yeah.
You realize your world doesn't have to be the way it is, right? Like it's cool if you could go to Hogwarts in this book because it's like, well, Hogwarts could be in my community. So we start to dream differently but imagine if Harry Potter was Black. I mean, his name would probably be Barry Potter, something like that, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
or Jeremiah Potter.
Yes. With a different spelling, not the traditional one, because it gotta be creative. Creative.
Yeah, like what if Dumbledore was Black? You know what I'm saying? Like what would that do for a young kid to see something that magnitude with that? I also don't think that the Black imagination should be locked where it's only Black people playing an imagination. I think in order to truly liberate the Black imagination and to find more freedoms is to create products in which people can all come play in my Black imagination. I want
Yeah.
white kids to read my book. I want Asian kids to read my
Yeah.
book. I want everybody to be able to play in my world,
Yeah.
right? Even though my characters happen to be Black, because that's why I had to go play in worlds where I didn't exist in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like it. I like it. So you wear so many different hats, like being a writer, the animator. Again, I'm sticking my stick creatures. A film director, pretty cool. Educator. What would you say is your favorite hat to wear?
Probably just being a husband and father. I think that's like the
Right.
coolest thing. Like I think that being a dad is like my daughter is my muse. I looked up and I got a really good kid that inspires me to kind of, continue to make things. I got a beautiful wife and she's really smart and she challenged me like creatively and we have conversations all the time. So I think my biggest for me is just being just human. Like I like going to the coffee shops and I learn all these discoveries come from life. I always tell kids
Mhm.
better writers, they need to go out and engage in the world, right? Like the
Yeah.
world is happening and the stories are outside, they're not inside. I mean, there could be some good stories that happen inside the house too. Like
Uh-huh.
the house is fun, but as creatively though, I think like this, I really love teaching. Like,
Mhm.
and I like teaching through working. Like I like to do the thing and
Mhm.
and share how that thing came about. And just again, like giving people the tools to follow in the path so that they can go carve out and make the products and whatever they manufacture their own imaginations, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like the crux of it all is like through books and through illustration and through my life is really just about um, helping people find the freedom of their speech through their creativity. And I think that's like my favorite thing to do. Like listen to people. I like you can't call me to go to the club, but if you could call me and talk about your dreams and like the ideas you have, that's the person.
Mhm.
But like
Mhm.
you want to go do, you want to talk about the football game or something? Don't call me. Not to call me for that. But if you want to talk about your dreams, I'll always listen to someone's dreams. Right?
Yeah.
I love dreamers.
Yes. I like that you first said your family, right? Because it's really important who's around you as you're pursuing your creativity, your imagination, because you do it for them, for stability and things. So we gotta like man will work, man will eat, right? So you're doing it for your family to be sufficient, but they're also supporting you and giving you love and helping you to fuel the fire when you are burned out and feeling like maybe I shouldn't. They're giving you some love and encouragement, your cheerleaders to push you on. So I like that that's your foundation. And then that part of just being human, being a person, enjoying that, but then being a teacher to be able to help somebody that doesn't know how to do it, to learn how to do it, and you learn more in that, but you're also helping them to create a legacy as well. So that's pretty cool.
I would say I'm a student before teacher, and like teaching, you learn more than you actually can teach anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I always tell the students and anyone that knows me that all the lessons or anyone could be your sensei, right?
Mm-hmm.
At any point in time, there's something to learn from the garbage team. There's something to learn from the janitor. There's something to learn
Yeah.
from the birds. There's something to learn from nature. There's something to learn from all these aspects of life. So then you become a lifelong student where you're not just looking for a figure who was called the teacher to teach you when you realize
Mm-hmm.
everyone in your life is a teacher.
Yes, yes. It made me think of the Last Dragon, right? He was like steady trying to find out who the master was. So when he found out that he was the master, he had the power within himself. So like, we're still always learning. He still was always learning, but not doubting the qualities that you have as well within you.
The Last Dragon, great reference point. That's exactly right. I do kung fu myself, so like that's one of my favorite movies. Like just
Mm-hmm.
being a black guy at that age do kung fu after watching Ninja Turtles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I could do kung fu too. And then you do a
Mm-hmm.
little research, and then you discover a guy named Yasuke who was a black samurai in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wait, there was a black dude that was a samurai in Japan. Then you
Mm-hmm.
realize, yo, that might be part of your ancestry down the line somehow too, where you
Yeah.
white also connected with the place. So like I think there is there's liberation and devotion, right? Like being devoted to a thing, giving yourself to a craft or a purpose or a passion. I think there's liberation in that, right? In the being devoted to someone or something bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like that you continue to say liberation because it's a freedom. Sometimes people feel like they're boxed in or they got to just stay in this little corner, but you can branch out and be free in that branching out, learning that branching out. I like that. It's like a statement, a staple of your vocabulary: liberation, liberation, liberation.
Because my biggest goal I realize is just to be free enough to make the things I want to make. I don't like no one telling me I don't have an editor. Like I edit
Mm-hmm.
my own books, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't have an editor. I illustrate. I do. You know what I'm saying? This is the story I want to tell. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I have to say. Who are you
Yeah.
to tell me that I'm saying it not the right way or like I should say it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that too, with editors, what I ran into like editors early on is this thought of colonialism, like how
Mm-hmm.
what is correct language and what isn't correct language, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
my native tongue for my community is not the one that is accepted in the classroom paper that needs to be turned in an MLA format.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we all understand. I don't need to speak like y'all in order
Yeah.
for it to be good, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's important because like you'll be saying, you'll say something, and be like, you meant that, you know what I said. You
yeah,
heard exactly what I said. And when you hear that way, it's like, yeah, I understand. I get it, because we don't have to, it's like that code switching. We don't always have to be the proper in things. Sometimes just get to the nitty and gritty of it. This is what
I'll
it is.
I'll code switch. I am what I am. I come as I am. Like I just like
Yes.
so I think to be black is to have a very layered vernacular and way of communicating. Like your language is layered because you had
Yeah.
to move through so many rooms
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
many spaces, and you talk to talk in so many different ways that when you just realize that the way that you talk is already so layered, it belongs in every room.
Right. Yeah. I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. This is good. This is good. So you have a moniker, and I hope I don't say it wrong because I did, practice. Mr.
Tomo,
Tomonashi.
yeah, Mr. Tomo. This is either way, Mr. Tomonoshi or Mr. Tomonashi. My friend says one of my good friends always say Mr. Tomonashi. Like, so it doesn't really
Okay,
bother me. I think it just depends on where you're from, right?
got you, got you, got you. So how did that come about, Mr. Tomonashi?
That was from a spiritual pilgrimage in Japan.
Okay.
I was in Japan on a spiritual pilgrimage. I met this lady named Miho, and Miho was fascinating, really cool. She was one of the first people I ever met that loved everything about what she did.
Oh.
Right, like just like she wanted to do it every day. She enjoyed it. She thought it was fantastic. And one day I asked her, I told her, I said, Miho, I want what you have. And she said, Oh, Marty son, I don't have anything. And I was like, wow, to me in my head right now, this is why I was playing in the NFL. It's like you have everything. You love everybody, everything you do. So I left and I tried. It took me about 2 years to discover what Miho had, but I had to go live my own life.
Mm.
And I realized once I discovered what that actually was, and I built a whole lifelong philosophy to achieve this thing, I didn't want to call it Miho. You're right. You know what I'm saying? So I took two Japanese words, Tomodachi and Tenoshi, which means amusement and fun, and another one means friend. Like so, I shortened it, and Tomonoshi means fun friend, Mr. Fun Friend. And this idea of having the fun friend is that when you're a kid, you know that person that had the games and had the toys. You want to go by their house.
Yeah, yeah.
But the things that's what I make. I make the things that make you the fun friend. So my name actually means Mr. Fun Friend. Actually, and I own the word. It's not actually a real Japanese word. I actually made it up. So
I like it. Go ahead. Go ahead. So I was doing some research on you, and you say you make up some things and you created some things, and then the interview was like, the hustle of like being an entrepreneur, going for what it is that you want to do. You're talking about going broke. So I don't want you to go broke. I want to now promote some of the things that you're doing, right? So you did this app, Knuckle Sandwich. How did that come about? What is it? Why should we download it today, right now?
Oh, so Knuckle Sandwich is actually so at the heart of everything I do, like I say, Black American futurism, right? Like, but
Mm-hmm.
we really participate in the future if the future is technology and we're not participating at the forefront of it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I used to build computers. I call myself a second generation technologist because my dad is an IT guy and he still is in software till this day. And,
Mm-hmm.
and when I think about Black American futurism, technology is a huge part of it. How do we use
Absolutely.
technology? What does tomorrow look like, right? As far as the landscape for us as Black people leading the way of technology.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, the way how algorithms are already oppressive, right? Of course they are, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
mostly white people develop in the algorithms, right? Like if we, no offense to anyone, but you develop with what they would call, otherwise they have to do it through representation. It's easier for them to create a reflection in
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm than it is for them to represent. And
Right, right.
same thing, if we're building algorithms, it will reflect our point of view on what is and what isn't, and then that algorithm will grow into this bigger thing. But the crux of it, it will always start with that DNA of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, I used to build interactive children book apps. I started off building interactive children book apps for the Hey AJ series, and then I was doing games and stuff. And then over the last several years, I wanted to get into building a play platform. So it's like, what can I take all of my intelligence and pour into one thing, right? So Knuckle Sandwich right now in beta phase, it's an interactive arcade game with a character called Kokoro, which is a girl who with dirt colored skin who actually bloomed from a flower seed and flowers grow from her hair, right? She was
Okay.
born in a drought. And and it's the entry to her world. I wanted people to enter her world through play. The Knuckle Sandwich platform is going to be, it will have comics in it, it will have a music player in it, it will have all these other things. Everything I know how to make will live in one universe
Nice.
will have access to it. So you'll be able to watch animated shorts, you'll be able to play the games, you'll be able to read the stories, and you'll be able to listen to the music and all the other activities of what we would then integrate into AR technology. So I'm telling you the future of no,
Yes.
right now it's the first stage of beta. We
Mm-hmm.
released it. I'm getting a lot of data right now. I'm actually about to relaunch it with the new user experience. I've redesigned the user experience and all these things along the way. So it's and it's crazy because I think there was not one mobile game with like a black character, a female character,
Mm-hmm.
need character. Now, there's games in which you could change the skin,
Right.
right?
Right.
Reskin the character for them to be black, but it was not
Mm-hmm.
who was born through the black imagination, right? So it's
Right.
different. It is black. Like I integrate my imagination, right?
Yes.
Every time I
Yes.
bring somebody in from a different race, I have to, it's like a whole. They have to move into the neighborhood. It's all like, oh
Yeah.
man, they moving into my imagination. They moving into my imagination.
Yeah.
I'm about to start redlining in my imagination.
Hilarious.
Here comes
Oh,
the ghetto.
welcome, welcome, welcome. Are they ready? Is the question, right?
That's
Huh.
yeah. So that's how I started. So the technologies is something huge to me. The thing I like about knuckle sandwiches is that it's free, right? You don't
Mhm,
have to pay to play. And that's become
mhm,
one of the biggest things in product design is like the barrier of entry. Like if I make a book, I have to sell it at a price in which I can make a profit for. So like Dear
mhm,
Black Boy, my first 5 books, I was a publisher. I printed the books in Hong Kong and then I moved to the US because I was thinking about building infrastructure to become one of the top publishers for minority writers and children's books and graphic novels. That's a really tough infrastructure to build because it's hard to get into the stores because they it's a whole thing.
yeah, yeah.
This book is really cool because I have global distribution. So the first book I was selling out the truck, I was at the church, I was at the playgrounds, I was at the schools, just hustling and bustling. But along the
Mhm,
way, I learned a lot about the product. So I was
mhm,
able to update the product and I redrew it, re-illustrated because I feel differently about the and my skill set is better than it was when I first did the original one.
mhm,
Technology, I don't have to, I could update it myself as I go
mhm,
without you having to go out and buy another product. I could continue to
right.
iterate and give you a better product over an extended period of time.
Mhm, mhm,
To me, that's what I
yeah,
think is the most exciting thing about knuckle sandwiches. It's like, yeah, you see, it's like a simple game, but as you start to watch it grow, you could grow with the franchise and all these different possible ways of experiencing this universe. That's what's really cool to me. Yeah, about knuckle sandwiches.
very nice. Now, how did you come up with the name?
Knuckle sandwiches? Oh
Yeah.
man. Man, I like kung fu and I like ice cream. So it was just like the knuckle sandwich represents the knuckle represent the kung fu and the sandwiches make represent the ice cream sandwiches. So actually the girl, the main character, Kokoro, she works at an ice cream store. That's what her job is in this universe, and that's where you meet her at in here.
Nice.
All these different ice cream sandwiches. So I used to sell ice cream when I was a kid.
I
Um,
like it.
it's just something that's like ice cream is something very near dear to. I actually made my own ice cream several years ago. It sold well too.
You
Um,
know, you're multi-talented for real. I mean, you creating stuff and then making stuff, a chef or a baker or desserter, whatever they call those people, right?
yeah,
Jack of all trades.
yeah, I'm like a cooler Kanye.
The dopeness also is that you tried all these different things. So you can't say like if it came to mind, it sounds like you went forth and you tried at least try it out, see what it did. And those things that resonated still continue to come back. So the ice cream has come back, the knuckle, kung fu has come back. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, no, I definitely it's life. I think
Mm-hmm.
I try to bring. I believe in myself, and I believe in my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I like to, I think the make, I could dream these things up and they could live or they could live and die in a notebook,
Mm-hmm.
or they could go out and try to give them a life where they could live in
Yeah.
public and be existing and people could visit these worlds. But like my notebooks, I have stories in my notebooks that some people may never get a chance to see. But even then, I
Mm-hmm.
with my family and friends. But
Mm-hmm.
I could share every world I ever made with the entire planet, and someone could find themselves in a story of mine or in a movie of mine or
Mm-hmm.
can iterate on the ideas in which I presented, or they get inspired to build their own worlds and universe. Like that's what I think about work is. It's not really about the dollar. Like I want to make some money. Yeah, Dear Black Boy, pay me. It was another book I would write, but
Yeah.
like, but it's really about impact, right? Like
Yeah.
impacting people with my work. If I decide to talk, is it meaningful? I tell all
Yeah.
my male friends, like the last thing I want to do is sit around and gossip with y'all. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
ain't got time for that. Like let's use our tongue in the correct way to speak life into the world, into others, and
Yes.
build things up. And sometimes you gotta tear something down with your tongue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not against that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm for
Sometimes.
eye.
Sometimes.
For sure. Obama say when they go low, we go high. Well, hey, Mr. Tomonoshi say when they go low, we go low.
Sometimes we want to go lower. I get it. I get it.
I'm okay with unnecessary roughness here and there. You know what I'm saying?
But sometimes we gotta give them a knuckle sandwich.
100%. I see what you did there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
pretty cool, pretty cool. So in that, you're author as well. So Black Boy's Dream. Can we talk about that for a little?
Yeah. So dear, dear Black Boy is like you're very like I don't do a lot of books with um Black boy lead characters. Like I just always been drawn to girl characters, but I'm a girl dad.
Uh-huh.
So I ain't gonna lie. When I draw something, all I'm really trying to do is impress my daughter.
Thank you for
Right?
your
Like,
honesty.
yeah, like if I'm being honest, I'm like, and sometimes she be like, like one day I came in the house and she's watching YouTube trying to draw like somebody else. And I'm like, why are you drawing like them? And she's like, oh, I was like, you should be drawing like me. I'm your father. It's our legacy right here. Let's take a well, Dad, you don't draw cute. I said, "Oh, okay." And that's how really Kokoro's action-packed cuteness. It was driven by my daughter telling me I couldn't do cute. So now I'll do cute. I will be the king of cute. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the motivation right there.
but for Dear Black Boys, like, it came about when, after the tragic death of Alton Sterling. And this time I
Mhm.
was at the NFL when I first wrote this letter. And it was really about this concept of, the trauma that we constantly consume,
Mhm.
right? And then it's like, can we build a space, a sanctuary for um, Black boys and Black men to, if they log on, they can always find good news,
Mm.
right? Like, just think about that as a brand. Like, you can just know where to, I mean, I'm building that right now. It's called
Yeah. Yeah.
dearblackboy.love from. But like,
Mhm.
this concept of finding this place where if I woke up as a Black man or a Black boy and boom, boom, I could find inspiration, love, and a community, a sanctuary to always find encouragement.
Yeah.
And that's what Dear Black Boy is as a product. It's like it's this idea of a love letter of encouragement and imagination to Black boys all over the globe, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
to me, it's the Black boy version of all the places you'll go,
Ah.
right? So you could give it to a Black boy at graduation. You can give it to
Mhm.
a boy going to who's just can't read yet, right? Because
Yeah.
every children's book is a kid's first art visit. It's their first museum.
Mhm.
It's their first art gallery. It's the children.
Mhm.
And so if we start developing, if we start to see these powerful images of us as a young kid, right? I don't
Mhm.
think of myself as not being powerful because everything I ever seen around me was a image of me overcoming something or doing something in a way that through art and through the way that I remember. Like I remember this book.
Mhm. Mhm.
I remember that poem, right? I remember
Yeah.
the story. And so Dear Black Boy is like it's for that. It's like to be hope and encouragement and imagination. And it's a reflection of me, right? Like this
Yeah.
me as a Black boy, a letter to myself that I'm
Mhm.
sharing with the world as well.
Yeah.
When I wrote the first book, the letter, I had not experienced as much of life,
Mhm.
right? I didn't go to the places I've gone. I didn't read the books I've read. I didn't meet the people I've met. So this is really cool because it's like, oh, I could update the letter and share new, like it's like me writing you again. Dear
Yeah.
Black Boy, some of the
Mhm.
stuff I said the first time, I still agree with. But here's some more things I've learned
Yes.
along the way. Let me add,
Yes.
and then you see the new book is more colorful.
Mhm.
The at the time we were like protesting, all this thing was going on in the world. America was heavy, so the
Yeah.
book was dark and saturated with browns and oranges, and it was very black, And
Uh-huh.
the book is still there, but there's like blues and purples and greens that's added to it because my outlook on life and the future of what I see for Black boys is even more colorful
Mm.
saw at that time. So that's
Yeah.
what this book really is for me. I think it's a chance to go back and edit, or to not edit, but to add on what I once knew and
Yeah.
share with Black boys who may have read the book several years ago and like,
Mhm.
oh, I needed more words of encouragement. Why did it take you so long to write us, Mr. Tomonoshi?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what Dear Black Boy is. And then Dear Black Boy, .love from, which is the social media platform I'm building, is a media company which will be a sanctuary for Black boys to find inspiration, hope, and joy. Imagine going to a website and there's like letters from men or mothers or whomever all over the world where you can find a letter of encouragement for you.
Yeah,
365, right? Or messages of encouragement. And the book is just really a catalyst for this bigger idea of building a community of Black boys that want to encourage and inspire and push each other to reaching their max potential.
I like it. So many good things just shared. When I first was reading up on the Dear Black Boy, it made me think of Antoine Fisher. And there was a scene where he said, "Who would cry for the little boy who lives inside of me?" And it sounds like you're doing that. You're like, writing to that little boy encouragement that you can make it. He had been through some things in his life, being in foster care, being abused, and didn't really always know how to share. He would get angry, he would get upset, he get frustrated. But like in your book, your letter, you're saying like, these are some things of how, and as you mature, you change up, or these are some more tools, you can have in this kit that you're helping them prepare. So I think that's totally cool. I saw the video. It was asking an African American woman to share with an African American male. What would you tell him? What words of wisdom would you give him? And she started pouring into him, just sharing some affirmations and words of encouragement. After a while, he broke a little bit, not in a bad way. I'm saying he started to cry because sometimes it's like, we don't cry, we men. But it started touching a little black boy inside of him of knowing, I am worthy, I am amazing, I am important, I am. So I like this inspiration and joy and hope that you're giving to the Black community. Is
That's,
amazing.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful, right? Like,
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot. It's like, if you think about it, like as Black boys as farmers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of times you spend time farming other people's land, right? But how do you how do you teach someone to farm their own land and
Yeah.
sow their own seeds and how to plant
Mm-hmm.
seeds in their imaginations?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you have it where when they have a garden that's so well nourished and so plush that they will never have to look outside of their inner nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
To find a moment of hope. How do you plant those types of seeds in Black boys, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you look at this concept of um, when we think about as Black men, when I think about legacy as Black men, I believe that it's really about the blueprints in which
Mm-hmm.
we can create for the next generation of young Black men to be able to emulate and to build. I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of kids play sports because that blueprint is so deeply blue that you can
Right.
see it. Like you know
Right.
how to do it. You know what it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, everyone around you knows what it takes. We all know
Right.
how basketball players build their game. You know what you got to be good at, what you got.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes
Yeah.
to the blueprint of becoming a doctor, or the blueprint of becoming an author, or the blueprint of becoming a musician outside of hip hop or outside of these music
Yeah.
genres, thinking about film, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to become a playwright, or to the blueprint to become a president, right? Even the blueprint for becoming a president, if you look at Obama and Kamala as a combination,
Mm-hmm.
that student is not that much darker, right? Like it's because it's just that's a light print. But the
Right.
more people, more of us that come, the darker that blueprint becomes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ways we know how we can achieve this goal. When it
Yeah.
feels like it's only one way to achieve a goal, it gets harder. But when there's like multiple blueprints and floor plans for which possible for you, more
Yeah.
people come into those models into their life based on their personality, right? So I think about it as Black man, let's just call it the brown print, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many brown prints can we leave behind
Yeah.
for the next generation to be able to navigate with more clarity than we have,
Yeah.
to achieve more possibilities than we have, right?
Right.
To be more in control of their tomorrows than we were. And
Yeah.
and how do we equip them with the tools in which they can, when it comes to what they imagine, to have the skill set to bring their imagination, to manifest their imagination into a tangible item or product or a place
Mm-hmm.
or a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it means for me
Yeah.
to be a Black man in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I don't want to extract, I want to instruct,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want to extract things. I want to extract things from other places and
Yeah.
bring it and hand it to hey, I found this in Japan.
Yeah.
I love this idea. This philosophy is another way of living life. I found this in Senegal. This is a really great thing. Let me give it to you so that you
Mm.
can possibly found what I found it. Oh, I was reading this book and I love
Yeah.
the thing. Let me give it to you too so that you could possibly find
Mm-hmm.
something in it that could be valuable to you. Now they have more possibilities from the options that we've given them. And that's what my work is. It's like me handing you what I've learned and the most creative way for me to share this with you, right?
Yeah.
And stories that come along with that. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I think about. That's what I think about being a black man. And that's what Dear Black Boy is at the crux of it, right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
here's some information. The best thing we can do for each other is to share information. And
Mm-hmm.
now, what you do with that information, I could only tell you, I can only could give you the information and how I handle the information. You may
Yeah.
discover new possibilities for the information that I have you. So your destination is up to you, but here's some tools along the way to
Yeah.
get you where you're trying to go.
Yes. I won't lie, it's a heavy lift, right? Because it's also some cycles that got to be broken, right? Because you feel like, well, this is how it's supposed to go. It just got to go this way. But I'm thinking of this. Nope, you got to keep going this way. But I'm thinking it, to be able to
Right.
step out and do that, get out of that cycle is really, really big. And again, your example that you're setting is needed, so they can know I can get out the cycle. I can try something different. And then, oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing.
I 100%. But the only way to reprogram,
Mm-hmm. That's the
the
part.
only way to reprogram is to be educated,
Mm-hmm.
education, right? Through travel, right? Seeing the places and a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Those are the three psychological ways that we can reprogram. I choose to travel and I don't want to go through no life-changing experience. Hey, let's just eliminate that one from. I don't wish that on nobody.
Oh,
Some people need that in order to be reprogrammed.
yes.
I just want to be educated. I just want to travel the world. Like the other one,
Mhm.
keep the other one. But you can
Yeah.
also do life changing experience of other people's stories. That's why
Mhm.
stories are important, right?
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
can see, like you can learn through. You don't have to necessarily go through the life changing experience, but you can have a life changing experience through
Yeah.
someone else's life
Yes.
changing experience. So
Yes.
I think the biggest thing to us, that's why if we bring these informations from all over the world, these things, like they'll tell you that black people can't swim and you go to Senegal and everybody's on the beach and surfing. You be like, come on,
Mhm.
man.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Ah. I like it. I like it. This is really good. Yeah, this is cool. You wrote another book or another piece of this black unicorn, and I think this was to impress your daughter as well. But how did that come about?
yeah. So a unicorn in my backyard is a very interesting story. When my daughter was younger, we used to play this. I used to always tell her like, "There's a unicorn in the house." We have this house in Chicago. My daughter's born in Chicago, and we had a house that was like a glass house for the most part. But in the winter, it's like trees, and we're in the middle of the woods, and like sometimes deer would come by, animals would
Mhm.
in your front yard, which is if you haven't had a chance to experience that in your life, like just to wake up and be like, there's life outside your
Mhm.
door, like a horse or a deer or anything like that. Oh my God, it is a life. Even if you just go for a vacation or Airbnb for a weekend, you
Mhm.
gotta do
Mhm.
like it's life changing to see life like walking outside of your house while you in your socks drinking tea. You know what I'm saying? And
It's
but
life changing, but if I see a fox in my neighborhood, which I have, I go in my house very quickly.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. You only want to look through the window. We still black. I ain't say I
period.
ain't say go outside with it. You ain't gotta be out there trying to feed the giraffe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, hey, look, there's a fox outside. That's very interesting from the inside. Once I'm
Yeah,
outside,
inside.
your point of view may change.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I was doing this with my daughter. So I do this thing where like we'll get like cupcakes and I'll hide them and I'll be like, "There's a unicorn in the backyard and it just left," and they just leave around unicorn poop, which was a cupcake, right? Unicorn,
Mhm.
yeah, obviously. And then she's like, "I'm gonna taste the ice." Oh, yeah. I'm like, "Oh, you eating unicorn poop?" It's this whole thing. So then we go to like around the same time, this game is popping up. All like it's just something that we're doing. And we go to PetSmart. I'm like, I thought it was a good idea to give my daughter some goldfish. It wasn't. Um, while we were there to get goldfish, she would be like, Dad, do you think they had unicorns here? Obviously, that's a good question. You know, you're about 4. That's a wonderful question. But then
Yeah.
this old white dude goes, "Ain't no such thing as unicorns."
Ah, messing up the plan.
So then I was like, "Don't you tell my daughter ain't no such thing as unicorn, dog. You know, I'm about to mess you up in it. Like, you know, you got poodles in here, but you ain't seen no pit bull yet. You know what I'm saying?" So like, and I know I thought about it too. It'd be like, da-na-na. Martellus Bennett slaps man at PetSmart for telling his daughter there's no such thing as unicorns, which would be a very fitting line for me in my career. But then after that, I thought about the possibilities of like, what if, you know, I didn't want my daughter to grow up without this idea of unicorns in her backyard, or like the possibilities of having unicorns. Like you know, young black girls, I think sometimes in their literature, very young, is kind of stuck on this idea of self-love, right? Like the
Mhm.
books, I love my hair, I love me, me, I like my skin,
Yeah.
you know, all like a yourself stuff. And
Mhm.
I meet young black girls that don't like themselves. I'll be in the classrooms all the time. They think highly of themselves. Being black today is much different for them than
It's
it was
different.
in the past. Think about
Mhm.
all the systems that they got to be built upon and what their messaging has finally come across us for them, right?
Mhm.
Like I get to write stories like "There's a Unicorn in My Backyard" because James Baldwin spent his life writing about the black plight.
Mhm.
Imagine he had the freedom to write Harry Potter, what that would have been like. But
Yeah.
he didn't. He had to use his skills for something else because he had to use his skills for liberation for his people. And like since they did that, then you talk about this freedom. I talked to Angela Davis about this too, and like my idea is when I say is the next step of freedom, we're free in our bodies, right? There was a
Mhm.
lot of it, right? We have a lot of these
Mhm.
freedoms that our ancestors were fighting for, but the next freedoms is the freedom of to imagine whatever it is we want to imagine. That's what
Yeah.
Black American futurism is.
Yeah.
The ability to imagine whatever it is that you want to imagine, and it's possible for you. That's Black American futurism. And so in this thing, so I wrote this book so that every kid could see that there was a possibility of a unicorn in their own backyard. Like there's magic in everyone's backyard.
Mhm.
And when I played football, they called me the black unicorn, but also I didn't want to do a white unicorn. Just because it's like, oh, you could be a black unicorn too. You know what I'm saying? Like, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the concept of that in itself is like, oh yeah. And and in it, and I don't like to do like when I do characters, like you'll see like Carolina Blue. She has blue. Her name's Carolina Blue. Her family's the Blues, but then her hair is blue, right? Like I like to draw like this range of, at that time my daughter wanted to dye her hair and she was spray paint her hair. So like, why don't we have characters of represent that spectrum of black girls who want to have blue hair, right? And make it
Mhm.
a normal thing, right?
Mhm.
Again, that's being able to imagine yourself as being whoever it is that you want to be. And so that's how I wrote that book, was for my daughter to always believe that there's a possibility of magic in her backyard, and for black girls to realize that they can spend all afternoon being creative to catch a. It's also a book about design thinking. The girl
Mhm.
Caroline Blue, she's constantly building traps and
Mhm.
with different plans. So but she's a very innovative kid, right? Where she's coming up with these magnificent gadgets and tricks to try to catch this unicorn. So not only is she dreaming, but she's also creative and making her own traps to do so. That's why I
Mhm.
love about her as a character is just her ingenuity and then just being creative. So and my daughter's that way too. My daughter loves making things out of cardboard
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So and I meet a lot of young girls who are into that too. But what is it like that for them to not only be like that, but also the way that they dress? Like fashion is
Mhm.
important to me.
Yeah.
You see my characters, all my characters are stylish. Like I like to get dressed. My characters are always dressed nice. I don't do no whack, outfits either. They fit check every time they come out.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. That is unicorn. I gotta download this app. This seems pretty cool. I like it. I like it, and I also like the part of how you talk about the characters and their development and their creativity that they have. Because there's different ways to get through to somebody. So sometimes you can do that stick picture and they know what you're talking about. But when you add some layers and some depth to it, it's like, oh, I like this. This is different. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So I really like that. Keep going. This is cool.
Yeah.
Um, and speaking of football, we got to ask a little bit about that. How was your experience in playing in the Super Bowl and winning?
Well, at the heart of it, it was like really cool, right? Like
Mhm.
the coolest thing about it was that I played in Houston.
Okay.
So my high school, middle school, when I started the dream
Oh,
of going to the Super Bowl, I was right here in the same city in which I won the Super Bowl.
okay.
So that made me emotional just to think about the young kid in me, the little boy,
Mhm.
dreamed the dream, and to come
Mhm.
back where he dreamed that dream for that dream to come true.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me emotional about the game, and I still think that was a special part of it of my career, right? Like,
Mhm.
I came when I left high school. I was the number one football and basketball player in Texas, right? I went to Texas
Yeah.
A&M. I was drafted by the Cowboys. So like my football career, you all right?
Sorry, I'm a Philly girl. We like the Eagles over here. Go
Oh,
ahead.
oh, and so, I get drafted by the Cowboys. I go through my career and I come back, and it's my turn to win the Super Bowl because my brother won the Super Bowl before me.
Nice.
My turn to win the Super Bowl was in my home city where I began to dream. So I feel like
Mhm.
that's a good way to close out my career. Like personally, the older I get, the more philosophical I get about it.
Mhm.
And and winning the game, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like I wasn't like my brother. He told me he's going. I was like, okay, so now what? It's just like it's over, and like I didn't have that type of.
Mhm.
Then I realized that not too long after that, I was in Japan, and I retired on the way back from Japan. And
Okay.
that's when I began to just. I said I want to make things for the rest of my life. I was never going to go a day without making something, and that's what I've been doing.
Very nice.
All right, but yeah, that was really cool. Like to start a dream and finish a dream where that dream.
Mhm.
I like that. That was beautiful.
Yes. So I've always wondered, when you play for a team, like, is that your favorite team, or do you still have a different team that's your favorite team?
At that time, my favorite team was Chase Bank. I play for whoever gonna pay me. I ain't really, what I'm saying? Like I ain't like I always tell kids all the time, you're an independent contractor for a team. I'll
Mhm.
go for whoever needs a tight end at the time that I could take my skills that is willing to pay me for my product. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
play for them. Now, of course, I like some places better than others, but like
Mhm, mhm.
end of the day, everybody's an independent contractor at a
Absolutely.
position, and you being recruited to play at different teams, and you want to go to the highest bidder. I don't
Mhm.
even the whole loyalty thing to no team or no company. It's still a company, and you are a business. So I
Yeah.
had their approach. I mean, I like. Of course, there's teams and places that I enjoyed a bit more than others, but
Mhm, mhm.
that's what it's like to take a job. You go
Yeah.
someplace. I like that job. Those are great. I miss those
Yeah.
people. Then I got
Yeah.
another job. I got paid more, but like, dang, I don't like these people.
So with pros and cons everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, so that was like, but overall, it was a cool experience.
Awesome, awesome. So in speaking of closing doors, you were sharing how when you started to retire, how was it closing that door to open up all the other opportunities that you had? Because sometimes we get in something and we feel like we're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives, but we have so many other talents and skills. So how was that process for you, for those that may be listening or thinking of closing a chapter of their lives to then explore some other things that they like to do?
I never thought it was the end all be all. I believe that you need to build the bridge before you need to cross the bridge.
Mm,
If you wait to build the bridge when you're ready to cross the bridge, then you're gonna be burning with the rest of the people in the town.
yeah.
So my entire career, I used to job shadow at Nickelodeon. I would be at Pixar, I would be at Disney, I would be at all these places training in LA, and I was
Nice.
making products, and I was kind of tiptoeing towards my dreams, right? Like
Mhm,
while I was
mhm.
doing the thing, like I do a book, I'll do a game, I'll do things that I had time for. Music was huge. I used to be in a traveling band when I played for the Cowboys and performing a lot. And so I just think that you got to build the bridge before you cross the bridge. I think while you're doing something, it gives you time and your free.
Mhm.
What am I doing in my free time to expand upon the human being that I am? And I think that's what I always did. I stayed curious about possibilities, and I ain't identify as what I was doing at the moment of time. Right?
Okay.
I was still trying to figure out who I was, even though people may have tied my identity into the thing I was doing.
Mm.
Never bought into that. I just kind of was out on a path to self-discovery through trying things. And I think that's the key to expanding your life. You may not bring more money, but you could live an expanded life. And expanded life is a beautiful life, right? You never know
Mm.
who you may touch and come in contact with. Oh, I mean, I think I got I forgot I had another call at 1:30.
Oh, so sorry. So we wrap up. You dropped a lot of good nuggets. You said
It's
Ty.
1:30.
tied my identity to what I was, in. And sometimes people will connect you with that and only see you as that. But it's great that you were able to like branch out and do the things that you want to do. How can people connect with you? I did share your Instagram. People can connect to follow Martellus at Martellus B on Instagram.
Yeah,
Be sure. Go
or
ahead.
at Mr. TOMONOSHi. And if you're interested in the, I post mostly on Mr. TOMONOSHi. That's why like
Okay.
day. But if you're interested in the sanctuary that I said I was going to build, I'm building, not going to build for
Mm-hmm.
Black boys and Black men. That is at dearblackboy.lovefrom on social media. So and we're going to launch a Dear Black Boy Run Club soon too. So.
I'm excited. That's so needed for the community. We got boys that are just doing some different things, and if they have some encouragement and some mentorship, some people help guide them, they can do some amazing things. And just to close out, is there anything else you would like to share? Words of wisdom, encouragement to those that are tuned in.
Oh man, when you make decisions, make sure you make decisions in the direction of your dreams. I think it's important that that we don't always. It's not always a sprint in your direction of your dreams. Sometimes it's a walk. Sometimes it's a crawl. Sometimes it's a roll. And I think you just gotta accept those different paces as you're moving towards your dream. So, but as long as you're moving towards it, I think that's what life is really about, right? Like the thing that we dream about, who we want to be, where we want to go to that place. That book you wanted to read that book. That place you wanted to eat at that place. That person you want to say hello to. Like just go out and live life, and life is happening now. I know we spend a lot of time online, but real life is out there, and it's a really cool thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
go to the museum on Sundays and have coffee, and go to the museum by yourself. Date yourself.
yes,
Make sure you date yourself. I'm married, but my wife dates herself, and I date
yeah.
my daughter dates herself too. She ain't dating nobody else though. Um,
Shut
uh,
it down. I see.
that's why I do several. They be like, "Your dad got swords." They come over, just be spinning the nunchuck. So what your name is?
What was it? Bad boys when they came to the door and the boy was scared. Yeah, he ended up being a good guy in the end, but nevertheless, yeah,
100% he did do. I like that what they did for him. They did good by
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, they did good by him. I was scared of him, but it worked out. This has been amazing. I thank you so much for sharing your story. I do hope that those that are tuned in and listening, whether now or later, that you want to share this because it's some good content that was shared. Y'all be sure to follow and see with Dr. TOMONOSHi. I did it right?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's in the family. It's in the family. It's doing because it's some amazing things. Dear Black Boy, the Black Unicorn, the platform to be able to encourage. And if you know somebody that needs that encouragement, you want to make sure they download that app so they can get love poured into them by other guys and see other guys getting that love to know that it's a cool thing. It's not a thing, because we want to keep on going in this thing called life. So thank you so much for joining us. Until next time. Pretty cool.
Thank you. That was cool. I enjoyed that. Thank you. Let me
Thank you.
I'm late for this other call. Let me hop on this other call real quick. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. That was great.
thank you. Let me close it out.
All right. That was cool. That was really good.